Howdy, I'm Mitchell Whittington from the VisitJefferson.com YouTube channel. You know, this isn't really a video I thought I'd ever be making for the channel. I mean, UFOs over Jefferson? Well, here we are. I should say up front that I'm not part of the tinfoil hat crowd. You know, I'm not expecting an invasion from outer space any moment. I'm not worrying about aliens controlling my brain or even probing my body on some exam table on their spaceship. Although I have always found the subject of UFOs and aliens kind of interesting. It just wasn't on my radar until something happened that I'm going to tell you about in this video. But maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I was raised on the idea of aliens and space travel. I watched wonderful sci-fi TV programs like Lost in Space, Star Trek, and Battlestar Galactica. I love those old TV shows and even the movies that came out like Forbidden Planet, The Day the Earth Stood Still, or Earth versus the Flying Saucers, or many more. Through all the movies and TV shows I grew up with, though, a clear pattern was firmly established. A UFO was a saucer-shaped object, and that had been ingrained in my brain. The artwork that you've been looking at are the typical flying saucer type spaceships that have been entrenched in our popular culture over the years. They're what many people who reported a UFO experience over the years described, and exactly what I would expect to see if I ever had an encounter with a UFO. But when it actually happened, a saucer was not what I saw. In December 2019, local TV weathermen had been predicting a good, old-fashioned East Texas gully washer all week long. It was going to start on Friday about lunchtime and go all the way through Saturday with high winds, thunder, lightning, and several inches of rain, complete with flash flood watches in effect. Everyone was battening down the hatches for the upcoming deluge. When night had fallen, there was a bit of thunder and lightning, some close by, but no torrential downpour like the weatherman had predicted. Apparently the storm turned north and hit Oklahoma and Arkansas, leaving the city of Jefferson with nothing more than some rumbling in the western sky. We were extremely thankful that the storm missed us. This is an artist rendering of the view from my back porch, looking through the trees. As I was standing there, I looked up in the sky to see if the storm was coming our way, and because of the clouds, you couldn't see the moon or stars at all. Suddenly, there was a clap of thunder and a flash of lightning, and up in the sky, I saw the lightning reflect off something large, round, silver, and metallic. Kind of like a metal beach ball in the sky, I guess. Only a huge one. I only saw it for an instant, and although it wasn't high, it wasn't all that far away either. I'll be honest, it really kind of disturbed me. The lightning in the west had illuminated one side of that metallic sphere. The object wasn't glowing, there were no lights on it, and if it hadn't been for that flash of lightning, I never would have seen it. Now, I send out a monthly e-zine for friends and fans of the Grove in Jefferson. You can get it on our website, by the way. So I wrote about what happened in December in the 2019 issue of the Grove zine. You'd think that I'd be hesitant to tell 1,000 or so people that I'd seen a UFO, but there was no question in my mind what I'd seen, so I didn't even hesitate a little bit. Anyway, the next thing that happened was the release of the cockpit video of a few Naval Aviators showing encounters with aircraft that could perform unbelievable maneuvers. On April 27, 2020, these videos were officially acknowledged by the Navy. The craft that the pilots were chasing looked round or oblong, kind of like the shape of a Tic Tac, one of those breath fresheners. They flew in ways that seemed to violate our understanding of the laws of physics, outperforming anything that we have. Just Google Tic Tac videos and you can easily find them. They were extensively covered by mainstream media. The Navy openly acknowledged them, admitting that, quote, sightings of unidentified aircraft have been observed entering and operating in the airspace of various military-controlled training ranges, end quote, as per a spokesman for the Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Information Warfare. What I saw wasn't moving like the Tic Tac UFOs and didn't exactly match the shape of those objects, but I couldn't help but have a feeling that I'd seen something otherworldly, which led me to start digging into the subject of UFOs in the Lone Star State. I immersed myself in it, and a year later, I had enough material to put into this book, which documents UFOs in Texas all the way back to the 1800s. I searched old newspapers and magazines and read any number of case studies of UFO activity. For more about the book, just go to texasufo.com. The book was released October 20th, 2021, and I debuted it at the very next Jefferson History, Haunts, and Legends Paranormal Conference. We have an entire video about that conference on the visitjefferson.com YouTube channel, by the way. At that particular conference, I did a talk on UFOs, specifically cases from the book and my own experience. I had a table in the vendor room where I had some of my books for sale, featuring my new Close Encounters of the Texas Kind book. My friend Jerry LeBlanc stopped by. He and his wife Ann own the Claiborne House B&B here in Jefferson, and not only is it one of our cozy and comfortable bed and breakfast, it's also a place with quite a bit of supernatural activity, kind of like my house, the Grove. It was built all the way back in the 1860s and is a wonderful place for a romantic weekend in Jefferson. Anyway, Jerry apologized for not getting there early enough to hear my presentation, and he asked what I had spoken about. I pointed to the Texas UFO book, and he looked at it, nodded, and said, "I saw a UFO one time, right here in Jefferson." When I asked him what he saw, he said that he and his wife Ann were out on their golf cart one day and happened to see their banker outside of the First National Bank building here in Jefferson. They stopped to talk to her, and in the course of that conversation, Jerry looked up into the clear sky of an ordinary day and saw a silver metallic sphere. He reached for his phone to take a photo, but realized he had left it at home. Now, Jerry was kind enough to tell me his story on this video. Since this was a large conference, people were coming and going, talking and visiting, so the audio is not as clear as I'd like, but you can listen to him describe his experience firsthand. So, this is my friend Jerry LeBlanc. He and his wife Ann own Claiborne House, bed and breakfast here in Jefferson. Great place to stay. A lot of activity there as far as the supernatural. But we're here because like a year ago, I just had the UFO book come out. You stopped by and you hadn't read it yet, if I remember, and you said, "Wow, I saw one of these."
Saw it too. Yeah.
Tell me what you saw.
Well, we were sitting on the golf cart, and in broad daylight, I happened to look up, and there was a metallic sphere, just maybe 500 feet up. It's hard to tell because I've never seen anything like this before the judge, and it wasn't moving. It was just sitting there. And of all things, I didn't have my phone to take a picture, so I we looked at it and said, "Well, I'll take a picture when I get home. I'll get my camera," and then of course coming back. But it was a metallic sphere. It might have been 8 feet, 10 feet round. So that's what I did.
Very cool. That's exactly what I saw, by the way. And I thought I was crazy when I first saw it.
Yeah, and I had the feeling maybe they're looking at me. I'm not sure. There's no windows. There's no wings. What was keeping it up there? I have no idea.
Exactly what I saw. But I saw mine at night. Yours was in broad daylight.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, man. I appreciate you telling me your story. It completely blew my mind that Jerry had seen the same type of object that I had. Even though his was in the daytime and mine was at night. His was on a clear sky and mine was during a storm. Still, I'd never heard of spherical silver UFOs, so this completely perplexed me. In some ways, though, it was comforting to know that someone else had seen the same kind of craft as well. And then, something interesting happened. You see, I always read the news while I'm eating lunch, and one day in 2023, I saw a photograph of something that really made me stop and stare. It was a spherical aircraft, exactly like I'd seen a few years before in Jefferson. Here it is. This silver sphere was captured by a U.S. reconnaissance aircraft over the city of Mosul, Iraq. It's a still photograph taken from a 4-second video clip captured April 16th, 2016 by one of our recon aircrafts and released in 2023. It was originally presented by UFO researcher Jeremy Corbell on his podcast. It's now on news sites and UFO feeds all over the internet. So for more information on it, just Google Mosul Orb or Mosul UFO. When I first saw this photo, like I said, I just sat there and stared at it. This UFO over Iraq was the same type of craft that I'd seen in Jefferson that night. And then later, the government released more silver spherical UFO footage, this time shot by an MQ-9 Reaper drone. It was filmed on July 12th, 2022, and played publicly for the first time before the U.S. Senate's Armed Services Committee in 2023. Here's a still shot from the footage, but you can easily find the whole thing online by Googling Reaper UFO. Pentagon officials, speaking at the first public hearing on UFOs since the 1960s, presented previously classified footage of a UFO, a split-second video of a metallic sphere zooming across the flight path of a military jet. Again, it was just like the object I saw. The object, captured through the cockpit window of an F-18 fighter jet in 2021, was also seen by the Naval Aviator flying the jet and picked up by the plane's sensors. Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence Scott Bray presented the video during a public hearing held by a House Intelligence Subcommittee. He also disclosed that U.S. Navy pilots had reported 144 sightings of UAPs since 2004. When asked for his opinion about the object, Deputy Director Bray said, "For the record, I do not have an explanation for what this specific object is." He also remarked that since the release of recent reports, the number of reported UAP sightings had grown to more than 400, and the incidents, many of which were occurring in military training areas and designated airspaces, were, quote, frequent and continuing, end quote. We've reached a point where there can be no doubt that something's out there that we don't understand. The testimony of pilots and government officials before Congress was given for the record and under oath. These photos and videos were taken by the government and have been reported in legitimate news agencies such as ABC, CBS, NBC, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, many, many more. When asked about the UFOs, whose maneuvers seem to use technology far beyond anything that we have today, one government official stated, quote, "They're not ours, they aren't any other country's, but we haven't seen any indication that they're alien," end quote. Really? I mean, they're not ours, they're not another country's, but they're not alien. What else could they be? I mean, tell me, I'd like to know. Interest seems to continue to grow, and understandably so. In 2022, the first Texas UFO Con was held in Jefferson, Texas, where people with an interest in such things came together to hear speakers on a variety of UFO topics. It's held every summer, so Google Texas UFO Con to get more details. It's an extremely interesting day, and with every year that passes, seems to be more relevant to the things going on around us. So what does all that mean? Well, for me, it kind of validates what I saw when I was standing on the back porch of our house that evening. It also tells me that UFOs, or UAPs, depending on whatever you'd like to call them, are real. I mean, it's hard to deny. I can't imagine anybody saying, I don't believe in UFOs. I mean, you have military officials, you have pilots themselves testifying before Congress that these are real. They're releasing, and they continue to release, footage from cameras on board airplanes, things like that, that just can't be denied anymore. On a personal level, I guess it means that when I'm looking up into the skies over Jefferson, Texas these days, I should pay a lot more attention. And maybe I should be the tiniest bit concerned about what's going on in our world. Hey, if you enjoyed this little video at all, I'd greatly appreciate you hitting the thumbs up button below. The YouTube overlords pay attention to those kind of things, and it really does help the channel. It doesn't cost a thing at all. And if you'd like to be notified when other Jefferson videos are posted, just click the subscribe button. Nothing nefarious happens. You don't get on any weird list. You just get an email when a new video is uploaded. That's it. Well, again, thanks for watching. There are a number of videos on visitjefferson.com, and I encourage you to check them all out. Meanwhile, I'll talk to you down the road a bit when we post our next Jefferson, Texas video.